Hello, hello. Okay, so I was just catching up with one of my past clients a little earlier today, and it inspired me to record a video because it was just a reminder to me of some things, and I really wanted to share those. And really, like what it was the reminder of is how important it is to A, love what you do and B, do what you love. And you may think those are the same thing, but they're not necessarily. But, I've talked a lot lately about me honestly coming back home to me and to where I started out. And I've seen this theme, and relationships are mirrors, by the way. I've seen it for me probably a bit, but for a lot of people, coming back to themselves, to their roots, to where they started in their business and their careers, mostly businesses. I do still work mostly with entrepreneurs. But I don't think it's exclusive to entrepreneurs, basically. But this feeling of really coming back to yourself, as I was talking to this client today, she was just kind of talking about the year that she's had and the realizations that she's had around, she actually loved some of the things that she was doing earlier on in her business, but she didn't believe that she could actually get paid the money that she wanted for doing them. And, you know, this is such a common thing, especially, I don't want to say especially amongst like healers and, service people who are very service minded, I guess is more what it's about. The idea of getting paid really well to be you and do the things that you love. So oftentimes, and I fell into this trap myself of really doing what we think is going to lead us to the money, and then we end up chasing money, and it's insert thing here, that you are chasing. It could be in relationships and you're chasing love and you just can't find that person. It could be something else. And I've talked recently about outsourcing my power to, supplements and pills. So it's all over, in terms of what that can mean for you. But when you're chasing something with the purpose of getting something, and in this case, again, we were talking about money, so I will talk about that. But when you're chasing money, when you're chasing, an outcome, when you're chasing high ticket clients, and something just feels off and out of integrity, there's generally a reason. And I've seen this happening. I saw this happen to myself, and I've seen it happening in so many others where you've lost the passion for what it is that you actually do. And I will say for myself, I think I lied to myself a little bit, and that feels a little vulnerable to share, but I need to share it because I didn't hate what I was doing necessarily, but I was finding it was no longer fun. I was getting on calls with people, and it was just like, how do I get more clients? How do I get more money? And that was like the only focus. And again, not that I don't help people to do those things, because I absolutely do. But it's so much more than that. And the thing is when you're just obsessed about the money and you lose sight of what you're actually doing and why you're doing it and what you love, what lights you up, what makes you happy, you start to feel really miserable. You start to feel lonely. You start to feel like, what the fuck am I even doing? And, if this is whether you're making a lot of money or you're not for what you're doing, the more you keep just focusing on chasing the thing, chasing the money, the thing that you think is going to give you the safety, the security, the things that you want, you lose sight of what actually matters, and you stop loving what you're doing. You stop actually being lit up by your work, and your magnetism, it fucking tanks. Ask me how I know. I know actually for multiple reasons, but it does. It tanks. And I've heard, some of my mentors, my more recent mentors, slash current, talk about, how important it is to really do what excites you, what makes you happy, what lights you up, and what you're passionate about. And, I've seen that, of course, in myself, and the things that also just come so easily to you. And when you stop chasing, when you stop worrying about how the money is going to come and how it's going to work and making more and getting more clients and this and that, it's amazing how things actually just start to come into place. But what I've also seen this year, for a lot of people, myself a bit included, is when we're chasing those things that are outside of us, those outcomes, and we're not actually focused on our own joy, our own happiness, our own embodiment, the things that we think we want start to fall away. And, again, I was talking to this client and, talking a bit about money and how like that's the thing, of course, that, money is important. It drives things, but talking about how she started to not like what she was doing. She had gone into business coaching when really what she wanted to do was more energy work. And it's not that she doesn't want to work with entrepreneurs, very similar to me. It's not that I don't want to work with entrepreneurs. It's not that I don't want to help them and serve them in their business. But it's that it's more than that. And when you're just chasing the outcome, you lose sight of what you're actually here for. And then if you're trying to sell your services to help other people chase an outcome and get a result, rather than actually doing it because it's what lights you up, because it's what people need, things do start to feel misaligned. And you ask for the path to money oftentimes, and I found this in myself. It does come, but it doesn't come the way that you expect. And sometimes you have to actually peel away a lot of things, which you think are actually necessary for you to make that money, for you to be successful, in order to actually come back home to you, to yourself, to what's important for you, so that you can actually come back to the thing that it makes you magnetic, that makes you actually attract the money, the clients, etc. And for me, I got so obsessed with making money, getting results, making it work and making it mean something about me when it didn't, rather than actually owning the fact that I'm really fucking good at the things that I do. And I didn't need to sit there and have a 20-point list of exactly what it was and how I serve people and why it was important and, blah, blah, blah. And again, messaging is important. And yes, you can speak in certain ways and it will trigger people to buy things faster. But when you're not in integrity, when you're just trying to do this to just make money and you're not actually happy with it, especially when you're selling ultimately yourself, because you are, as a coach, as a healer, whatever, it's hard sometimes to separate that from yourself, and you have to allow some of that old shit to just fall away in order for yourself to rise back up. And oftentimes you find yourself then back in the beginning. And obviously, you've changed. This client, that I was talking to changed. I've changed. We've evolved, but not as much as we think, because oftentimes we get away from the things that make us happy, that light us up, that actually make us magnetic, that actually make people want us to pay, make people want to pay us, because we're so focused on who we need to be, what we need to say, what we need to do, how we need to look, how we need to present ourselves, what our marketing needs to be, how often, all of the things in order to get the result. And that is what is leading to so much burnout in this phase. It's not, that you're working so hard and so much, because oftentimes I see people, going through this journey, coming back to themselves, and then actually being able to go out and do a lot of work and spend time doing that. But it's from that energy of I'm actually doing this from excitement because I want to be, not because I'm just trying to get a result. And I think a lot of people too then end up with like shell shock of, but I don't want to go back to the way that it was. I don't want to just be, jumping on call after call after call, not enjoying my life, not doing this, not doing that. But in reality, when you are doing the things that you love, when you're most happy, things do work for you. And when you actually can sit and think about some of those times, It makes sense, right? And for me, a lot of times when I have made the most money, it was when I was not chasing it at all. It just literally kind of started to fall in my lap. In fact, this happened today. I got an inquiry for a wedding, and I can't actually do the wedding, but just bam, the person's like, "Yeah, I'll pay you for consulting." And she didn't even ask my rate. She's just like, "Yeah, let's set up a call to do some consulting instead, since I couldn't be there for the physical wedding." But when you stop chasing the money just comes. And when you stop trying to control how it comes to you, it comes. When you stop trying to chase the result, it comes. And when you are in your essence, when you are so embodied in your own power, you become more magnetic, and you do become more magnetic to the people who will pay you more. And you need to do this, the self-concepting stuff, the identity stuff around that to actually step into, believing that you can be paid more. But it's not about chasing money. It's not about having the perfect content. It's not about the algorithm. And you can go about things that way, but for many people, that's, I believe, not the way that it's meant to be. And that's not the way of the future. It is supposed to be easier. And that happens when you actually allow that to happen and to be in your essence, to be, in your soul's path, your soul's purpose, doing the things that light you up. So love what you do what you love, right? So when you do what you love, you start to love what you do, and that's how you get fucking paid. Period. And, I've had to remind myself of this over and over. When you aren't focused on the outcome, that's when you actually start to get paid for the things that you love. When you stop trying to overthink it and you just get out of your head. And actually, I've talked a lot about, this healer that I met in Bali this time around. And like he said to me, like, stop thinking, just take action. And, I've had to remind myself of that over and over. I'm definitely, someone who spends a lot of time thinking. And oftentimes it's really good, but when you're thinking about your own stuff and you're just obsessing, trying to figure it out, it's not going to work. So just move with the energy, move with what lights you up, do the thing, come back to yourself and realize what the fuck that is, and allow yourself to be fully expressed and be all of you, to show up in your business, in your careers, in your lives as all of you. And that's when you attract the things you want. So yes, I was talking about this today from the perspective of money and business, but it's the same in all aspects of your life. It truly is. And when you allow yourself to just be that version of you, I promise you, things will start to shift, and they already are. Because if you're still listening, you're obviously resonating with things that I'm saying. So again, if this has resonated with you, I would love to, hear your comments, like, subscribe, all of the good things. If you want to take these conversations further, there's a few ways that you can do that with me. So the first thing is, please join me inside the Unleashed and Authentically Expressed community. That is 100% free over on Telegram. If you want to, and I do talk about things over there that I don't necessarily talk about publicly on social media. Um, and we'll go a little bit more into depth, share behind the scenes, share my new offers and events first there. So make sure you join there. Then the next thing is, if you really want to do this work, if you really want to elevate yourself, your identity, your self-concept, and really truly come back to yourself and to take off so that you can make more money, have more success, have the fucking life you love, and love what you do and do what you love all the time and get paid for it. My unfiltered ascension masterminds and retreats are definitely the place to be. For the coming year in 2026, I'm going to be doing retreats in Bali. At this point, I have one for sure in November. I'm looking at another one this summer, Northern Hemisphere time. So probably in July. Date's still loading for that one. And then I'm also looking to do one here in like Central America / the Caribbean area as well for this year. And then 2026, definitely going to be back in Bali. Also, or sorry, 2027, going to be doing a Costa Rica one. So if any of these any of this is resonating with you, or you want to even go deeper and do some private mentorship and coaching, reach out to me. That's always the fastest way to elevate yourself. But I also think there is a lot of value in the community, the connection that happens in the masterminds, as well as especially in the retreats. So there is a link below. You can message me on Facebook to talk about a bit more. Otherwise, you just go ahead and join me inside the Unleashed and Authentically Expressed community over on Telegram. And I can't wait to see you. And I will be back very soon with another video. So we'll talk soon.